Jeff Smith, you came out and said you were an atheist. I've always thought atheists believe 100% there is no God. I always felt it takes as much faith to claim there is no higher power than to say there definitely is one. As a critical thinker, I would have thought you would have landed as an agnostic, which I think believes you cannot answer the question with proof one way or the other, so they accept that we just don't know if there is a higher power. I could be totally wrong about what atheists and agnostics believe, so could you explain the difference between them and why you felt more comfortable as an atheist rather than an agnostic? There are so many different interpretations and ideas about this stuff that it's hard to be definitive about it. So all I can do is tell you my decisions and understandings of it and hope that that communicates, as best it can. But I'm not speaking for the atheist community at large or the agnostic community at large or, for all people are saying this is the only way it can be, because it's a very personal thing for people in the same way that religious belief is. But here's how it comes down. At first, I was calling myself an agnostic because as a point of knowledge, I realized that it is simply impossible to know one way or the other with absolute certainty that there is or isn't a God. And by know, I mean K-N-O-W, as in with evidence and proof of some kind that you can see, touch, sense, measure, experience, right? So lacking that, I decided, well, I don't know, and I don't know that you can know, given the nature of a being who could create, the entire universe and us and imbue us with life. I mean, how could you even begin to contemplate or understand such a being or such a force? If it's not a being, an individual person or thing, then maybe it's some sort of universal force or something. I mean, even that, how do you get your wits around something like that? We can barely comprehend the size of the city we live in, much less the country, much less the planet, much less the universe. How do you get your head around something that expansive and huge? So I decided that it was simply unknowable. And that was my own personal take on it, was I think it's kind of ridiculous that anybody could claim to have absolute knowledge about this. And so I said, well, I'm kind of agnostic about it. I don't know, and I don't think anybody else does. But I wasn't trying to particularly be militant about it, but that was kind of how I approached it. Somebody then made the distinction between knowledge, which is, gnosis, agnosticism, is a knowledge thing, whereas atheism is a belief thing. Atheism is, and the idea that, a theist is a person who believes that there is a God or gods, and an atheist is somebody who does not believe that there are a God or gods. And that's really all there is. If you have doubts, questions, uncertainties, don't know for sure about it, you're an atheist, right? If you believe, then you are a theist, you're a believer, right? And if you're in the I don't know realm, if you're in the area of, well, how can you even know? That puts you in the atheist camp, at least according to every atheist I've ever talked to. And I've never talked to a believer who would say, oh no, you belong in the believer camp if you're saying you don't know, right? They don't, that's not how they talk to you, right? They start trying to convince you that you should know, and you can know, and you should just feel the Spirit and feel the Lord and have that personal experience, and it's all appealing to your emotion and how you feel about it, right? Well, I don't particularly feel any way about it, so I'm trying to look at it more with, from a point of view of critical thinking. And by critical thinking, I mean, show me why I should believe it. And I have yet to be shown any compelling reason why I should believe that there actually is a higher power or force, that 1 created us, 2 created the universe, 3 is watching over me right now and watching over all of us, 4 is something that, and then we're going to get really specific, something that inspired people to write a Bible, that created a son who came down to earth and died for all of our sins. I've lost the plot way before we get to any of that. I'm like, no, you didn't even get me at there is a higher power. much less all this specific stuff about the Bible and the Quran and the Book of Mormon and all this sort of stuff. You lost me way before that. So because I hold that position, I go in the direction of atheism. I don't believe in a God or gods. Now, I've said before that I have a hope. It's a really nice idea that there might be more. It's a really nice idea, and for me, a very selfish one, that we might live beyond our, shedding our mortal coil, so to speak. I hope there is more to our existence once we're pushing up the daisies. But that's a hope. I don't believe it. I have no reason to believe that it's true. It's just sort of a, wow, that would be really nice. In the same way that it would be really nice if I would win the lottery tomorrow. Be great, but I don't believe I'm going to win the lottery tomorrow. Right? I have no reason to believe that whatsoever. Why should I? There's no compelling evidence to indicate that I would win the lottery, starting with the fact I haven't even bought a lottery ticket. So there's maybe a decent analogy for what I'm talking about. And that is why I am in the atheist agnostic camp. I've seen it expressed that you can be an agnostic atheist and a Gnostic atheist. You can know for sure that there's no God. But that's not actually the default position of an atheist. The default position of an atheist, according to the word itself, is you simply don't believe in a God or gods. It's not that you know with certainty that there is no God. That's not what atheists will tell you. At least not most of the atheists that I know. There are militant extremist atheists, very few of them as far as I can tell, but they do exist, who will pound you and try to, really get on you about how there's no way, there's absolutely not. I don't go there because I don't have that certainty, because I don't have any compelling reason to have that certainty either. Right? I have no evidence that there isn't one. So I keep myself open to the possibility that, hey, great, if you can, show me compelling evidence of it, I'll believe it. There's no chip on my shoulder about it, right? Unlike somebody like David Silverman, who I interviewed on my podcast a few weeks ago, who was very strident about it. So, you get a spectrum of belief within the atheist world, but that's how I understand it to be and where I'm at. Hope that clarifies it.